All right, good evening. Welcome to the February meeting of the Board of Education for Anthony Wayne. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And tonight we have a new section. We're going to have an oath of office for our newest board member that we'll do first before we call to order. So, Amy and Carrie, go over there.
Do solemnly affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge your duties as board member of the Anthony Wayne Local School District, Lucas County, Ohio, to the best of your abilities, and now in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office, and until your successor is elected and qualified. If so, answer I do.
Thank you, and welcome to Mrs. Amy Barrett. Now, if we can call to order.
Mr. Baden?
Yes.
Mrs. Barrett?
Yes.
Mrs. Hopkemeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Staub?
I'm here.
Okay, and we're going to jump order a little bit here and go with the superintendent's update, and he'll introduce.
I'd like to introduce Michael Shea. He is going to share with you a little bit of our Generals for Generations, a foundation that's been creating kind of the process for that, along with the individuals that have joined that board and so forth. So I would turn that over to Mike. Absolutely, perfect.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Michael Shea. My wife, Carrie, and I have been district residents for about 13 years. We have 3 kids, all of whom attend Anthony Wayne schools. I'm the pastor of Waterville Community Church. It's my full-time job. Prior to that, I worked in the nonprofit world for about a decade doing fund development and donor development. As Mr. Herman said, I have been tapped to be the first president for the Generals for Generations Foundation. The first president for the Generals for Generations Foundation, which I'll share with you what that is in just a minute. I got involved in this, I've always been, in my career, I've always been a big advocate for public schools. I'm a proud product of public schools. And I've always gotten involved with public school systems. Anthony Wayne's no different. So in the 13 years that we've been here, I've been a substitute teacher. I've been on a crisis response team. I've come in to speak to administration and staff and students. I've been a coach. I'm currently a coach. I've even driven a bus. I'm currently a bus driver. But the thing that kind of compelled me to get involved in this foundation upstart effort was my experience on the Anthony Wayne for Kids team last year trying to pass a school levy. That was the first levy campaign that I've been a part of, and it really opened my eyes to kind of the hard reality of school funding. And I walked away from it thinking, if a district like Anthony Wayne is going to be able to fund the kinds of innovative programs and projects that are going to keep pace with evolving student needs, it's going to have to do that privately. Like, public funding just does not feel like a viable path to enhancement. It may be a viable path to sort of maintenance, but I don't think it's a viable path to make things better. And so that's why I got involved in this foundation effort. So I want to give you just a snapshot of like the timeline of the work that we've done and kind of what the foundation is, what we aspire to be, and sort of where we are kind of present day. So you probably already know this, but last spring, 2025, Mr. Herman met with a member of the school district and kind of shared this vision for starting a school foundation for Anthony Wayne. That district resident made a donation to the school system to hire a consulting firm that specializes in launching public school foundations. So the district hired Jenny Perrin and Shift Consulting. Jenny's here tonight. Jenny has been involved with all of the major school foundations in Northwest Ohio. So starting in the early summer, there was a core administrative team that started working alongside Jenny to put kind of the legal administrative infrastructure in place for the foundation. Late summer, early fall, they came to me and asked me if I would serve as the first president of the Board of Trustees, which I agreed to do. We then planned and executed a number of private community information gatherings. The purpose of those gatherings was to build a sort of a concentric circle, broader network of ambassadors for the foundation, people that we felt like needed to be in the know and needed to speak into the process from an early stage. The purpose was also to try and recruit board members for our first board. And so we were successful at doing both of those things. We recruited 10 board members for our first Board of Trustees by the end of 2025. So in addition to me, our current board members are Jen Harder, Angie Barney, Shaughnessy Miller, Jamie Smeltzer, Lisa Schaller, Trey Tolstam, Andy Nowicki, Jason Hood, who am I missing? John Schwanz, and Tom Hertzfeld. So those 10, in addition to me, are our current Board of Trustees. We held our first trustee meeting in January. We kind of talked about our mission, vision, sort of 3-year picture and 1-year goal. So the working mission of the foundation is the Generals for Generations Foundation aims to be a strategic partner with Anthony Wayne local schools by connecting generations of generals with philanthropic opportunities that enhance student experience in academics, athletics, and the arts. So there are some important pieces there that I feel like I need to sort of stress. One is the student enhancement, student focus, that Generals for Generations Foundations will be student focused. Like, we'll work on projects that are good for students. I think the idea of enhancement is important, that the Generals for Generations Foundation does not aim to be a foundation that is primarily about maintaining what already exists, but trying to find ways to make things better, to enhance student experience. I think that's important. Obviously, the academics, arts, and athletics piece, so this is not niche or parochial to one aspect of the student experience, but all 3 of those areas. And I think it's also important to recognize that this is a private charity, it's private philanthropy, and it aims at having a strategic partnership. And so what that means is the Generals for Generations Foundation is neither, on the one hand, sort of beholden to the school board and district leadership, neither is it, on the other hand, a kind of rogue agency that's just off sort of doing its own thing, irrespective of the district's strategic plans or strategic initiatives. The hope is that a long time down the road, when those of us that are on the board right now are no longer involved in this, that there is a great working relationship between this foundation and the leadership of the school system, that we can identify innovative projects and programs that need to get funded, and that we can go and pursue funding those things privately. That's the idea. So that's sort of the working mission. Like I said, we have a board in place. Our kind of long-term vision, and forgive that we haven't put official words behind this, but what we imagine 50 years down the road is that this foundation is a $50 to $75 million endowment that's generating $3 million a year, that's used for these sort of innovative programs and projects, something like that. We kind of imagine it being that, having that sort of scale, probably managed professionally day to day by an executive director, and then of course supported by a board of trustees. So that's sort of the 50-year vision, so you can appreciate sort of scope and scale, how different it is from the existing sort of philanthropy arms that are operating in the district. So moving in that direction, just from a 3-year picture perspective, by the end of fiscal year 2028, we want to have identified, funded, and executed some kind of flagship project. So within 3 years, we will have executed a project that no other philanthropy organization in the Anthony Wayne District would be able to do. That's kind of our 3-year picture. We hope to get that done. So just for this year, by the end of this year, obviously one goal is to identify that project. So that's something that our team is working on. And then another goal is to effectively brand ourselves in the community, right? To get the information out. What is the Generals for Generations Foundation? How is it different from other philanthropic arms that support the school system? So forth and so on. So in short, a year ago, this foundation was little more than an idea in Mr. Herman's head. Today, it's a recognized 501c3 charity, and it has a working board of trustees that has a pretty clear vision of what we hope it will become down the road and what we plan to work on over the next 1 to 3 year period. So, any questions or comments about Generals for Generations Foundation that I can field while I'm here?
Thank you for stepping up. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. My pleasure.
I will say it's been an absolute joy working with him. His expertise in the area has just helped us move the entire idea and the foundation forward. The individuals that we do have on the board, we spent a lot of time meeting with people one-on-one and kind of learning their interest and so forth. The team is made up, or the board is made up of 10 individuals that have a lot of strengths and expertise in different areas that they're going to be able to bring together to be able to run it very well. They're very motivated individuals and very excited about the possibilities where I think that the foundation will be down the road. Very excited about where it is today, and I'm thankful to Mike and the board for getting us to that spot today.
Great. Okay, thank you for your time. Have a great meeting. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you, Mike. And thank you, Mr. Herman. I know we've talked about this many times over the years, and it's finally good to see it come to fruition and exciting times ahead. So. All right, next item on the agenda is to approve the Board of Education minutes from last meeting. Any additions or corrections or discussions on those? If not,
I move to approve.
Kyle is the first, the second,
I'll second.
and Lindsay.
Mr. Baden?
Yes.
Mrs. Barrett?
Yes.
Mrs. Hopkemeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Stomp?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Next, we'll have the treasurer's report.
All right, thank you. We have several items on the agenda. Item A, monthly financials. We recommend that the board approve the following monthly financials for January. We were balanced for the month of January. Item B is our donations. We have a $4,000 donation from the Athletic Boosters to the high school athletics for girls soccer state championship rings. And then item C is our financial forecast. We recommend that the board approve the financial forecast that's required for submission in February of 26. Carrie is going to speak to you a little bit about that update.
All right, I'm not sure how this is going to work here. Okay, I'm just going to take a few minutes. The board had a financial, or a board in-service back on, or work session, good grief, on January 30th, I believe, and we kind of went through and did our annual 5-year forecast, forecast that we always have. So most of you know that, or have heard me say this before, that we used to always have a 5-year forecast that's submitted to the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce in the months of November and May. In this last biennium, which started July 1st of 2025, that was changed, so now we have a financial forecast, which is current 3 years, or current budget year and 3 years forecasted. So it changes things up a little bit, but now that is due in August of each year and February. So I'm asking the board tonight to approve our financial forecast. But the timing of this has been a real struggle for treasurers because we don't even have our settlement from the county auditor yet. So I don't know for 100% certain where our revenues are going to end up come June 30th. So the timing of that isn't changed, but it's a 2-year biennium and we'll see how it goes. But a couple things. Nikki, can you bring that up? I have it. Oh, you have it? Yeah. Sorry. I'm going to start off by, there's so many House bills that were signed by the governor on December 19th, and those bills do not go into effect till March 19th because there's a 90-day waiting. But since there's all those House bills affect real estate taxes in some way, shape, or form, and we are 72% funded by those. I just want to kind of highlight those changes and share what that's going to do. First thing I'm going to start, he'll bring it up here in a minute. So just some facts of our current status when it comes to property taxes. The district is at the 20 mil floor. When the levy failed in November 2024, we knew that was a possibility due to the reappraisal that was taking place. We had a reappraisal in calendar year 24 for collection in 25. With that reappraisal, we saw home values increase about 31%. And so obviously people felt that in their tax bills, and then also the school district saw new revenue from that because the levy failed, so we hit the 20 mil floor, and so they bring us back up to that level, but then we start seeing growth every time there's a change in value, and that can go both up and down. Another hot topic when it comes to what's going on with the House bills is our cash balance policy. The district has a policy, but not so much a written policy as far as our cash balance. The main reason for that is we've never had a lot of cash. We try and follow the GFOA standard of 60 to 90 days. We are pretty good around anywhere from 15 to 45. I always tell the board that we live paycheck to paycheck around here sometimes, and it's a little stressful, but it works for the district, and we continue to produce such a high quality product out there in our students. So, but they are recommending, and I say they, I mean legislators, they feel that, districts should have cash balance policies, but I will say we were one of 16 districts that were under 10% on June 30th, so I don't think they're really worried about Anthony Wayne having large cash values. The other thing is a fixed sum levy, or emergency fixed sum levy. So we have an emergency levy. It's a levy that passed in 2003. It collects $3 million every year, and it was for 4.85 mils. That same emergency levy today collects the same $3 million, but it's only collecting at 1.77 mils. So that millage has went down as values have went up, but we still collect that same amount. So moving on to what I sent to Nikki this afternoon. It's not that it's really anything, it just gives you a visual of what I'm saying. So, but, not that one. Anyways, House Bill 129. It's one of the House bills on December 19th that the governor approved that goes into effect March 19th. What this does is this changes the calculation of how districts are at the 20 mil floor. So Anthony Wayne is at the 20 mil floor currently. We have an emergency levy of 1.7 mils. That now puts the district at 21.7 mils, which could bring us off the floor. The thing that will change that goes into another House bill, which is House Bill, I'm on the next screen just in case, would be House Bill 335. So when we had when we saw that big increase from the reappraisal, what House Bill 335 does is it now reduces that to where districts will not see, and taxpayers will not see that kind of growth in the district. So they're using what they call the gross domestic product, which is deflator. So it's GDP, DEF, because we have acronyms for so much of what we do. But basically, it measures the change in value. So they're going to use this as an average, so districts that go through triennial updates every 6 years or reappraisals every 6 years don't see those big increases of the 31% that we just saw. There would be more of an average. Now with this, going back to House Bill 129, the other thing that this will do is, when I say the district could come off the 20 mil floor and we would be at 21.7 mils, the first time that this comes up is going to be most of our properties in Lucas County. We have one home in Fulton County, and we have several properties in Wood County. The first year that there is a reappraisal in one of these community or counties, could change where we're at the 20 mil floor. So Lucas County, I thought it was great because we were supposed to be in 27. We got pushed down to 28. One last year we had to worry, but those the properties in Fulton and Wood County are up for reappraisal in 26, collection in 27. So that is when things will change for us at the 20 mil floor. It might not even affect us because if they have enough growth or increase in values, it might not change us from the 20 mil floor. So, but again, these are things that we just don't know how they're going to come out because the GDP deflator is not out. There's no simulations, there's nothing. So House Bill 186, that affects us because basically we have an emergency levy. We've had it, the one since 2003, but when that can be renewed, which it would be in December, has to be renewed by December of 2032. When it's renewed, it can, and right now it's a 10-year, so that's why it's so far out. But when we renew it, we can only do a max of 5 years. So, and it'll be a fixed income or fixed sum, not to exceed 5 years. That's not a whole lot. That's not going to change for us because ours has always been a fixed sum. So, and then the last thing is just House Bill 309, which this is just giving the local budget commission more authority, which consists of the county auditor, county treasurer, and prosecuting attorney. So it will give them more local control for districts that can work with you or perhaps against you. So we're hoping to, establish a better relationship with our county auditor. She's new. We're the only district in Lucas County that's at the 20 mil floor. So I know it's new for her too. So we're working through that. But getting on to the 5-year forecast, I share these things because when you look at our 5-year forecast, you can see the first number on there is going to be our real estate, which is, like I said, 72% of our revenue in the district. There's no real changes in our 5-year forecast because since the law changed last August, and which was already passed, we had to submit a 5-year forecast in October last year only, and then this is the February one. Not much has changed. Pretty much went through and just fine-tuned in what we know now. The other thing I'm happy to share is that Nexus did pay. So that is why you see in line 2 of the 5-year forecast under line 1.030, that increase up to $7 million and then dropping back down the following years. That is the final payment from Nexus, making us whole from the years that they weren't paying because it was being challenged. So not much has changed other than I'll highlight line 7.020 as a cash balance, that we do have cash balances, and thankful to the 20 mil floor and Nexus paying, that has been beneficial to us. So the only other thing I would add, because there is a House bill out there that is working to abolish property taxes. And they need 413,000 signatures by July of 26 to be on the ballot. And that sounds great, and you can see the concern that would bring to our district, but what they're not really saying is right now, our income tax rate in the state of Ohio is the second lowest in the nation at 2.75%. The way they are going to fund when if property taxes would become abolished is increase that income tax by 11 to 15%, getting it up to 15 to 18% to fund that loss. So it's, there's just a lot going on, but I mean, I'm sure it sounds really good for, hey, no more property taxes. And that's just not for schools, that's local municipalities, that's a lot. So there's a lot of impact on that. But right now, based on what we know, we have a solid financial forecast. Any questions?
Thanks, Carrie.
Sorry about that confusion. Technology,
All right, we continue with item D. We recommend the board authorize the treasurer to advertise for 3 84-passenger school buses to be purchased with permanent improvement funds. This has become practice to replace at least 3 or 4 buses each school year, so that's what we ask you to do in item D. Last item, E, is grant approval. Dr. Pfefferly applied for a safety grant with the Ohio Attorney General's office, and he was awarded, you can see the amount there, $17,109.21, and we ask you for approval of creating those accounts for cash, revenue, and budget. And this safety grant will go towards our therapy dog at the high school, Jasper, and it would also be able to support the other therapy dogs in the district. So we ask you to approve items A through E.
Any other questions or comments or a motion?
I'll move.
Kyle moves.
I'll second.
Second. Amy?
Mr. Baden,
Yes.
Mrs. Barrett,
Yes.
Mrs. Hopkemeyer,
yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Stamm.
Yes.
All right, moving on to the superintendent's reports.
All right, just to go over a couple other items. First off, I don't know if you noticed the nameplates, but we do have new nameplates. So I wanted to thank Dr. Hamady and Mr. Decay for doing that. That's through their 3D printers and so forth. So our students' work and staff's work right in front of us. Also, just wanted to congratulate 2 of our school groups. We had our high school dance team compete at the state level yesterday, and they won first. They got first place in the game day routine, and then they got third place in their pom routine. So that's wonderful for them. And then also our cheerleaders are in Florida. They're probably on their way back now, or maybe are back now. But they competed over a few days also, and their national competition was at Universal Studios. That was something that they go to every other year, and they competed and they actually won their category. So, and they were doing game day also. We want to wish them the absolute best. They actually compete in their state tournament this coming week. So a lot of good things going on with that. Then finally, I just would like to discuss with you some possible dates. In order to have kind of a retreat that we've talked to, I've talked to Mr. Baden about the possibility of us getting together again, having some professional development in the areas of the board, having Amy join us, and we want to congratulate her and thank her. But the do's and don'ts, as we had talked about previously, we're going to talk about some strategic planning. It would be an opportunity just for us to have some good discussions about where we're going as a board, and so, and then do some team building along with that. It would be considered a work session, and so would like to kind of have you share sometimes maybe within the next month. I'll put something out to you, but would like to try to have that either some night during the week, or we could possibly do like a Saturday morning. So I'll give you the possibility, some different opportunities for that, but that would be the intent of doing that, so we can just meet as a group and grow as a board. So those are the items that I have in that area. Next, I would like for you to approve 2 overnight trips. One's for the varsity baseball team, the other's for the varsity softball team, and that is for spring break. They're going to go, the boys team's going to go to Destin, Florida, and then the girls' team is going to Orange Beach, Alabama, and they will compete with other teams and so forth, and to prepare for their seasons. We just have one educational agreement in item C, and that is basically just maintaining our membership with the high school, Ohio High School Athletic Association. So, and then in item D, we've had a couple of these lately. We do have an individual that has met all the requirements from the state of Ohio and Anthony Wayne Schools and Penna Career Center to have early graduation, and so we have one individual that is being recommended for that. So those are items B through D.
All right, any other questions, discussions, or a motion?
Do you possibly just want to touch on the bus incident from today?
Oh, certainly. Thankfully, we did have it was a Waterville primary bus route. They were on 4th Street. Well, they actually got out right off of 4th Street. It was right before that. They were sideswiped by an elderly lady. All of the kids were fine. We did always, whenever there's any type of accident, myself or Dr. Pfefferly will report to that along with Teresa, which is our Director of Transportation. And what we have to do is we have to go through an entire process with that. We have to make sure that all the kids are fine, check with each of them individually, get their names and addresses. We actually then work to contact those parents during that time, and then we get something out, that, the incident took place, but that everyone was safe. We then have another bus that will come and take those students, finish the route with them. And then we have procedures that we have to do with that driver, even if it wasn't the driver's fault. There's a process that we have to go through. And so absolutely all students were fine. They were actually excited when we got on the bus to tell what happened. And they're like, oh, it's you again. And I'm like, yes. And so everything went very, very well. The bus driver handled it very well. The transportation department handled it very well. And all the kids were fine. So I think we got there shortly after it happened, and they're like, it's been at least an hour.
Good. Any other questions or motion?
Move to approve?
Kyle, and second,
I'll second.
Lindsay, and a roll?
Mr. Baden?
Yes.
Mrs. Barrett?
Yes.
Mrs. Hopkemeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Staub?
Yes.
I'm in this next section, we have resignations and retirements. I would like to recognize Barry Vincent. He's a bus driver. He has been a bus driver for 8.5 years. It's just time he's wanting to do some other things, pursue some other things. I wanted to also recognize Mrs. Banky. Shelley Banky has been 17 years as a special education aide, and that's remarkable work for her. And then we also, the last resignation you'll notice is a newer teacher that we've had at White House. But she is actually very excited to welcome her first child, and she has decided to be a stay-at-home mom. So we wish her the best also, and thank her for, I believe she's been here for 3 years. So, in the next part, simply you'll notice that we are adding some bus driving positions, a custodial position, and so forth. It shares what the position is and where they're going to be at. So we're very thankful for the work that has been done in order to get them on board. We also have some substitutes there, and we're very thankful for the work that goes into getting those and adding them to our list. Our final section is volunteers, and those are individuals that are volunteering for different organizations, sports teams, or school buildings, and so forth. And so we always have to have them recognized as volunteers in order to be having them work with our students. So the last part is just the contract amendments. and those individuals are listed that they've had to amend their contract for one reason or another. You'll notice the number of days and the reasons why that are listed as well. So, that is item A through E in that section.
All right. Any other questions, comments, discussions? Or a motion?
I'll motion.
Lindsay, in a second. Kyle. Roll.
Mr. Baden?
Yes.
Mrs. Barrett?
Yes.
Mrs. Hopkemeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Staub?
Yes.
Thank you.
All righty. Next section is board comments. Any board members have anything to comment?
Nothing?
Besides welcoming our newest member, and Amy, I think will be definitely an asset to the board, and we welcome this new year moving forward. It was a long process, but hopefully we were very transparent through that, and the public was understanding of how we did the process and outlined everything and made it very fair and equal, I believe. So I think we've got great results and look forward to a good year. So with the full board. Anyone else?
Good.
All right. The next section is recognition of visitors, and we do have a few on the list here. And I just want to preference before we start that any of the speakers are welcome to give compliments or questions or complaints. But we do ask you don't need to wait for a public meeting like this. You can contact any of us at any time. You can resolve some of the items ahead of time and have answers on the spot instead of waiting for a meeting. But we do ask that you recognize the rules that are printed in here and the time limit of 5 minutes. And we will cut you off after the 5 minutes just to respect the process and the rules, even on a short meeting or a long meeting, to keep everybody fair and equal and moving forward. So with that, we'll welcome our first is Lynn Cox. If you want to come up to the podium. Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Lynn Cox. I'm a Waterville resident and a graduate of Anthony Wayne. I'm a reluctant warrior, and I've become a community organizer around the issue of data centers since learning of the threat to our way of life, our environment, our health, and our home values. I'd like to give a high-level overview of the industry, our particular concerns, and also describe how your board will be involved. I'm sure you've seen the news reports and the no data center yard signs, my button. You've probably also heard people say that data, and specifically artificial intelligence, is here to stay, and we do not disagree. What we disagree with is where they could potentially be placed. Right now, 1,000 acres of farmland in Waterville Township, 180 acres in Monclova Township, and 90 acres in Maumee have been identified as prime spots. Our group has over 3,100 members and up to 20,000 visitors per day. We have the marketing plans and the site maps for these areas. Developers are offering 125 to 200,000 K per acre, and we have copies of some of these contracts. Friendships are being lost as those who want to sell are trying to convince those who don't to join them. Lines are being drawn as people feel their agrarian way of life is being threatened, which it is. Our school district has been identified as a prime area for a data center because of the Nexus pipeline, fiber optic lines, and access to Toledo water. Our group's position is that data centers belong on repurposed brownfield and heavy industrial sites only, particularly because of the energy drain, the noise pollution, and the emissions from the gas-generated plants and diesel-powered backup generators creating neurotoxins. Now, there's 4 types of data centers. I won't go into a lot of detail, but just so you know, there's enterprise, co-location, cloud, and hyperscale, which are massive facilities for tech giants, which is what they're trying to attract to the area. So when I refer to a data center here on, I'm talking about the hyperscale data center. A single facility can consume up to 5 million gallons of water a day, as much as a city of 50,000 people. Because of this, you'll start to hear about a closed-loop system using less water, but adding chemicals such as glycol, which will later be released into the sewers or groundwater. You'll hear experts tell you that the water will be hauled away and cleaned, but what they won't tell you is that the plant is allowed to flush their system once after construction, dumping these and other toxic chemicals to the sewers and thus out to the Maumee River or Lake Erie. The electrical demands are massive, with some of the largest facilities exceeding 150 milliwatts, which is the energy usage equivalent to over 75,000 households. Ohio's electrical grid is over 45 years old, and we are already paying for the upgrades. The data center project currently being proposed in Oregon, Ohio, failed their electrical load study in December and is on hold. As with any technology, the chance of these centers becoming obsolete within a few years is high as the industry is changing at warp speed. Because of this, several local groups have put moratoriums on data center applications, including Waterville and Maumee. There's calls by Ohio legislators for a statewide commission to be set up. Nationwide, 20 proposals valued at $98 billion in 11 states were blocked or delayed among local opposition in 2025. DeWine wants Ohio to become the Silicon Valley of the Midwest, and the state is a top 5 data center market due to available land, power infrastructure, and incentives, and that's where you come in. Ohio has developed massive tax incentives, including what's called a pilot program, payment in lieu of taxes. This is a property tax abatement offered to the company typically for 15 to 20 years. In this scheme, an economic development person will contact the school superintendent and offer a deal for a fixed amount of tax per year. So instead of paying the standard amount of property tax, this saves the company about 75% of what they would traditionally pay. Typically, only the school will receive the money, with no money going to Metro Parks, Penn at the library, or other funds or levies. They get around this by buying a park here and there, maybe a fire engine, or whatever one-off deals they have to make to get everyone to sign on. These deals are made in person by someone in economic development, so there's no governmental agency involved and no documents which can be obtained by records request.
Thank you, Lynn. We're gonna.
Just one other sentence. It's really important because as a final note, if the school takes the money and the home values significantly decrease, this is going to lower the overall tax base from which you now receive funds. So the net result, even with the money being thrown at the school, could be a net decrease if a data center were to destroy the property values. So, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And next we have Joseph Balmer.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time. I'm Joe Balmer. I live at 4240 Crystal Ridge Drive in Monclova Township, not over in the Fallen Timbers area. It's likely that someday the board and the administration will be approached to participate in an economic incentive for a data center. And my early warning to you is simple. Don't do it. You don't have to, and you won't want to. The money will be tempting, but you have to walk away from it, and here's why. No matter how financially attractive it is, it's going to have a net negative impact to the overall budget and revenue of the district. So never mind the noise pollution, the light pollution, the emissions, the discharges, and all the other negative environmental impacts. Data centers are notorious for financial pollution, and I'll define that and describe that for you here in just a minute. But let me give you a little bit more background about me. I've had a varied career in leadership positions in large organizations involved in construction and real estate development and manufacturing across the globe. I've led projects valued in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and some of my principal duties included negotiating economic incentives for my employers. With my team, I've negotiated and secured at least $100 million in tax breaks for some of the projects that I've worked on. I understand the process, I understand the psychology behind the process, and how to dress up the package to make it look like it's the best deal ever, okay? So here's why you should not agree to an economic incentive package for a data center in our school district. One, data center developers and their operators do not need public incentives. They are flush with cash and profits. The value of an incentive is just a drop in the bucket compared to the historic amounts of cash that are chasing these deals. The lack of a property tax incentive is not a deal breaker. It's just icing on the cake, and they don't need it. Two, pilot agreements, payment in lieu of taxes agreements. They're massively lopsided against school districts. It doesn't matter if it's a 10, 15, 20, or 30-year deal. The school district begins losing money in year 2 on these deals. And at the end of the term, you end up collecting millions less than you would have if you'd not accepted the pilot agreement. So how is that possible? The pilots are structured as a fixed annual payment. If a data center were taxed like every other commercial real estate property, those payments would increase on a regular cadence, particularly during the triennial update, or however that's going to end up being resolved by the legislature. But under a TIF or a pilot, that doesn't happen. Our own experience proves that with the Fallen Timbers Mall. What a disaster that's been, Carrie. You can't deny that, right? And then all the headaches we've had with the Nexus pipeline and their payment. They've failed to meet their projections, and they've dragged us through heck trying to get that money out of them. And we're still not convinced we're going to get that money from them. So why on earth would we sign up for more of that, right? The third reason, this is critical. Any data center anywhere within a school district, whether it's in Monclova, Waterville, or White House, is going to create negative property value impacts to the surrounding and downwind residential areas. So I don't care how anyone pencils it out. The long-term negative is staring us right in the face. And a fixed annual payment from a data center will decrease in value over time as it remains static, and it does not change. And all the while, the surrounding residential areas will decrease in property value owing to the obnoxious and the deleterious effects of a data center anywhere within 1 to 3 miles of a data center. So trust me, there will be thousands of Board of Revision applications for property tax reductions just from Fallen Timbers area households if a data center materializes in Maumee near the mall. The most likely outcome, there will be declining revenue from reductions in residential property values that will surpass any potential pilot revenue. It's a negative effect. We got to walk away from anyone dangling that big check in front of us. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to skip ahead. So someday, Mr. Herman, your phone's going to ring, or Carrie, your phone's going to ring, and the caller's going to ask you to participate in an incentive discussion, or perhaps a package. It's already been pre-negotiated on your behalf, and you'll be told, because this is what we did. The school board will be told, this is the deal, you have to accept it, we just need you to go through the, rubber stamp it and approve it. Don't do it. They don't need it, and it's not the best thing for the district. So it's a pilot or a TIF would be financially refreshing. To a parched district, you don't want it, trust me. So remember, the data center operators, they don't need tax incentives. They really don't. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I do want to thank them. I also do want to share that they're being proactive in addressing the board with their concerns. The board has not been spoken to by anyone concerning data centers at this point. They've not, we've not had anyone come to us and discuss that there's been, a data center moving forward in this area. So I will share that. I just want to make sure that everyone does understand that with them speaking tonight, that is to be proactive with the information. It's not because we have had anyone come and speak to us.
Okay. And with that, the last item is for adjournment. Do we have a motion?
I move to adjourn.
Kyle? And a second?
I will second.
Mike?
Mr. Baden,
Yes.
Mrs. Barrett,
Yes.
Mrs. Hopkemeyer,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Stahl.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, our next board meeting will be Monday, March 9th at 6 PM here. And thank you all for attending and for those online watching. Have a good evening.
That hasn't happened in a while.